It's been less than a week since Marathon launched, and we're already starting to see a downward trend with its player counts on Steam. And if this tells you anything, dude, it's that not every game should strive for Arc Raiders level instant success. Not every studio should be pumping out over $200 million into their product and then getting the surprised Pikachu face when said product underperforms. Because yeah, Marathon had over 80k concurrent players at launch on Steam alone. But unless PlayStation and Xbox are doubling those numbers, this doesn't look too good for Sony, who dropped about $4 billion to buy Bungie in the first place. I mean, by comparison, Bungie in their prime with Destiny 2's launch on Steam garnered over 300,000 concurrent players on Steam, and they were hitting that peak again and again with each new expansion release. Okay, Destiny 2 was moving numbers here, and they were raking in the money. Okay, well, maybe not so much anymore, and Sony's already addressed their financial disappointments with Destiny in the recent years, but seriously, the game is almost 9 years old. How long did you play in the milk a dead cow? That just goes to show how disconnected executives in the industry are from actual gamers. They took a developer who was known for amazingly handcrafted stories, characters, and worlds, and put them to work on an extraction shooter with an overly inflated budget. Because, sure, chasing the latest greedy trends hasn't bitten anyone in the butt before, with games like Concord, for example. A game I couldn't even play because they yanked it from the digital store shelves before I can even get a day off from work to play it. The same thing happened with Highguard, a game that otherwise had a lot of really cool ideas in its setting with how it mixes medieval elements with modern day technology. Okay, so maybe the broccoli top characters kinda sucked hard, and why is Ken from Street Fighter even here? But you could siege attack an enemy base camp while riding on a bear, no-scoping enemies with a sniper rifle. Like, there's a good game in those ideas somewhere, it's just not in whatever nonsense Wildlight Entertainment put out to the masses. And that's just what most of these studios are putting out these days. Absolute nonsense that gamers never even asked for. Because before Marathon was even announced, how many gamers would have even said the word extraction shooter in association with Bungie's name? But honestly, none of this even concerns me at all. I'm just over here playing my Korean dating simulators. And seriously, dude, I used to cringe at people playing these, but now I'm just addicted to them. Like, where else can I get a group of hot female roommates who are all fighting for my attention and affection? Real life? That would require to have a life outside of work, but this ties into what I'm talking about. Even games like this cater to a demographic that's been asking for it. Now look at Marathon and tell me which Bungie fan has been begging to Big Daddy Sony for this. They weren't asking for this at all. Most people probably wanted another Destiny game complete with single-player campaign and the option of competitive multiplayer or cooperative strikes and raids. Heck, it'd still be live service, but at least it'd be something to actually talk about. I barely see anyone at all talking about Marathon outside of the dwindling player numbers and Bungie's questionable future. When I look up Arc Raiders, gamers are actually discussing the game, about how to find certain items, patch updates, funny moments, just people generally having a good time playing Arc Raiders. But now Marathon's player counts just keep falling with each passing day. At first they peaked at around 80k on Steam, but now that number's dropped considerably to around 60,000, and I imagine that that's the trend with console versions of the game as well. These numbers just aren't enough to keep the game going at the budget Sony has placed on it, and I'm sure Marathon's found its niche audience of dedicated players for sure, but that's just what they are, niche. And when small things like the weekends or work days can drop your player counts into the 30,000s, well, what happens when the competition drops a new content update? What happens when a new game releases? I'm worried for Marathon, but even more so for Bungie's future, because if you haven't heard, Sony isn't scared to close studios these days. Concord Studio was rightfully disbanded, but what about Bluepoint Games? These are the guys who made the Demon's Souls remake on PS5 that everyone loved. Sony tried to put them up on some live service slop, cancelled it, and then fired them. Gee, thanks, Sony. I guess we'll never get Bloodborne on modern systems now because, yeah, that was an idea that was pitched to them multiple times and it was shot down. The guys who made the incredibly unnecessary Until Dawn remaster, they're gone too. Studios are on the chopping block these days, and I don't think Bungie is doing so great that they're exempt. Anyway guys, this is RageWatch, and if you've stuck around this long, consider subscribing to hear more of my cringeworthy takes on video games. I'm out. Thanks for watching.